So, bro, is this showing this screen also? Possible? You show both?
Yeah, we can
So I have been writing on the Bhagavad Gita for every day for almost for the 15 years almost. So I have nearly 5,000 articles in the Gita on my website, Gita Daily. For the last 1 year or so, I was feeling that I was approaching the Gita from an analytical perspective to understand and explain its verses. At the same time, the Gita is also presented as a very devotional book by Srila Prabhupada, by Vishwanath Thakur. So I was thinking, how could I approach it more devotionally? And for me, many of the verses of the Gita are not just sources of wisdom, they are like personal friends for me. And when we meet a friend, it's not just the joy of meeting the friend, but it's also we want to know more about them. And one way we know more about a friend is by meeting them in different contexts. If we know them at work, then how are they at home? How are they in outings? How are they under stress? How are they in different situations? So like that, I started looking at the various places where the Gita's verses are quoted by our acharyas to see how they are approaching the verses. And then I found in the Mukundmala Stotra by Kulashekar Maharaj a prayer which seemed to be a direct response to the words of Krishna. So Krishna in 12.7 the Bhagavad Gita says, Tesham aham samadharta Vritti samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayaveshita chetasam. He says that for those who fix their mind on me, I will be the swift deliverer from the ocean of material existence. So Kulashekar Maharaj is praying that Samsara sagar nimagna mananta dino Uddhara tumarasi hare purushottamo sri. Oh my Lord, this ocean of material existence is unending. It's very difficult to go beyond or even navigate or survive. So Uddhara tumarasi. It behooves you, my Lord, to lift me out of this existence, of this ocean. So now, why does it behoove you? Arhasi. It behooves because you have promised that you will do this. So in that sense, he's taken the verse and seen that as an inspiration for prayer. So I decided to take that approach and see how we could relate the Gita's verses to our situations in our life. And so to that end, in each, there are 122 verses based on the first, some key verses from the first 6 chapters of the Gita over here. So there is a picture of a deity of Krishna, but these are from various temples in India. Then there is a one sentence summary of the prayer, which is like a spiritual or a devotional affirmation. Then I've taken the Gita verse and to help enhance the devotional connect with the Gita, I try to translate the Gita verse in a poetic form. And then after that there is the prayer. So today we'll talk about Krishna's protection or how faith helps us to overcome challenges and talk about the element of faith. But what does faith mean? Let's start with this. So you can repeat after me. You have the book, you can read the book, but I'm also displaying it over here, whichever way you like. So I would like you also to read some things from the book, one paragraph as we come forward to it. You can repeat after me. My dear Lord, let me remember that my life story is a part of your story. You can recite it responsibly. Tatah shvetair hayair mahati syandane sthitau madhava pandavaschaiva divyau shankhau pradadmatu. And Krishna and Arjuna standing tall on their chariot, white steeds and all, blew their conches loud and bright, a sound that shook the field with might. So, who would like to read the first paragraph? Yes, please.
My dear Lord, you are always with me in the chariot of this body, just as you were with Arjuna on the battlefield.
Yes, one paragraph. Thank you. The list. So, so basically, I will talk about this topic of faith at three different levels. First, I'll talk about the meaning of faith in terms of levels of faith. Then I'll talk about the conceptions of God that accompany certain levels of faith. And then how the effects on us, on our life, on our choices. So now when we talk about faith, this verse is depicting Krishna on the battlefield. And with Krishna is Arjuna. So whatever the Gita talks about, there is a timeless aspect to it and a timely aspect to it. Or another way to put it, there's a contextual aspect, which is a timely aspect, and there's a universal aspect, which is the timeless aspect. So at a timely level, it is a historical event that happened. Krishna and Arjuna were on the battlefield. Now the timeless implication of that is that our body is also like a chariot. The Upanishads often have this metaphor, the body like a chariot. Now, the soul, we are like Arjuna. And the super soul inside us is like Krishna. So, what is depicted in the Bhagavad Gita is not just a historical reality. It is also depicting a universal reality. Krishna is with us, within us. And one of the key understandings of this is Krishna is far above. Krishna is transcendental. Krishna exists in the spiritual world. Krishna is far above the material world. That is true. But at the same time, Krishna is not far away. Krishna is far above the material world. Nothing in the material world affects him. He's far above, but he's never far away. He is very close to us in our own hearts. We'll talk about this conception of God at various levels. But to begin with, when we talk about God, generally speaking, for most of us, we live in the world and we have certain things we see in the world. So we have desire to get certain things. And then accompanied with the desire comes to the fear. Fear that I may not get it, or if I get it, it may not last. So desire and fear is what goes on in our life. Now, within this worldview, there are times when what we are seeking, either the desire seems to be obstructed by something, that there is some kind of obstacle that prevents us, a barrier from getting what we want. Or we have it with us, but there seems to be some force is hitting and taking it away from us. Or if the desire is not fulfilled, barrier to desire that is there, or there is the fear of loss. Now, it is when either of these things come up in our life, that is the time when most people turn towards God. And I can use my strength to try to get what I want or to hold on to what I want. But when I am not able to do that, then normally our vision does not go upward automatically. So I am here, my desirable object is here. And then there are times when we start looking upwards. Now when we look upwards, we look upwards to look downwards. In the sense that we want God to help us to deal with our problems. And that's fair enough. Now in this conception, when we are facing problems, whatever the particular problem might be, and we are trying to deal with it. So there are various levels. You can go on various levels, but let's keep it simple. The first is God exists. That there is someone up there who is. When we use the word God itself, the idea is now we may have a different conception of God, but there is someone up there who exists. Now, beyond God exists, there is the idea that God cares. They may exist. The police may exist, but if you are robbed and the police say we don't care, you are robbed, you do it. They have the power to find, but they don't find. So when I was introduced to Bhakti about 30 years ago, I was very enthusiastic. I started sharing it with everyone, all my friends, relatives, acquaintances. So one of my uncles told me, I have a very good relationship with God. I had never seen him go to a temple. I had never seen him read any sacred books. I had never seen him even hear him talk anything about God. So I asked him, what do you mean a good relationship? He says, a good relationship is mutual non-interference. He is happy there and I am happy here. So sometimes we feel that, and I don't need God. The problem with this is that there are times when we may no longer be happy. We may be happy right now, but we will not be happy always. So that is the time when we look upwards, but then does God care? Now God may care, but does God help? That's something new. Now somebody may care, but their care is only in words. I care for you. Can you do this? No, don't ask me to do anything. So they don't do anything practically to help. The God cares, then beyond that God helps. Now it is one thing to help, but it goes beyond helping to actually protecting. Now help could mean various things. Okay, there are 100 things to do, I can help you do 2 or 3 things. But protect means you take the responsibility. This is what I can do this. Now protecting can be in many different ways also, but till this point, it is while our vision of God is there, the vision is still a bit self-centered. Self-centered means that I am here, I want to do certain things, and does God care to help me in doing what I want to do or to avoid what I want to do? But beyond this is where God guides. So this is where things start changing. In one sense, I'll talk about this difference as we move forward, but the important point is, it's like a citizen may want to go, okay, I want to go wherever I want to go, and I have a bodyguard who will protect me wherever I go. But then, if the bodyguard says, sir, there's a lot of danger over here, ma'am, this is not a safe place, but you don't go over it. So mind your own business. You are going to protect me wherever I go. So somebody may be a protector, but that protector may still be like our order carrier. Now we don't necessarily think of God as our order carrier, but the idea is, when we are thinking of God as a protector, still the idea is that, okay, I want to do what I want to do, and God will protect me. Now, so that is where the conception, it's good to think of God as a protector, but it goes further. God guides. Okay, do this, don't do that. So in one sense, in our life, there are, broadly speaking, if you look at life, there are things that happen to us and there are things that we do. So most people, we expect God's action here in what happens to us, not here. I want to do what I want to do, but when some trouble comes, you help me in that. It's like that. So God guides. That's something which is further. If we go beyond that, God instructs. So guidance is more, you take it, you leave it. Instruction is a little stronger. Now, well, this is what you should do. If we go to some coach, we go to some therapist, they often give some guidance. But if you go to a doctor, if somebody is sick, the doctor does not give guidance, the doctor gives instructions. Do this. Now, beyond this is God commands. Now, I am using the word instruct and command might seem similar, but I am using it in a slightly different sense. I am using the word command in the sense of a commander. So if somebody is in an army and the army has a commander, then it is that the commander will protect, but the commander also expects that you do this. This is our military strategy. Sometimes the commander may explain the strategy, sometimes the commander not explain that, but you go here, you attack over here, do over here. So where, if you see the Gita's conclusion, where Krishna does assure that Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktaha pranashyati. So we could say 9.31 is at this level that God protects. We can look for Gita's verses at each of these levels. That could be a more technical exploration of the Gita. But we can talk about Gita's verses at each of these levels. But the conclusion of the Gita is Arjuna's words are at this level. Arjuna is telling Karishye Vachanam Tava. Karishye Vachanam Tava means that I will do your will. So it is not just that, okay, what if something bad is happening to me? Oh God, please stop it from happening. That what I am doing, now I will do it according to your will. So this is, when we talk about faith in God, it can be at different levels. So faith is that, okay, I will do what I want to do, and whatever consequences come, not that what I do can be correct, not completely reckless, but this is what I want to do, and then what I want to do, God will protect it. So the Gita's conclusion is that God is our protector, but especially when we are functioning in the world. We could talk about much higher levels where God is like a lover, God is like a friend. That is the Vrindavan level. I'm not going to do the Braj Leela. I'm focusing at the level of the Gita right now. But Krishna is with Arjuna. Just as Krishna is with Arjuna on the chariot, the super soul, Krishna as the Paramatma is with us in our body, which is like our chariot. Would like to read the next paragraph? Please.
Please, O Lord, let this beautiful, beatific vision of the human-divine partnership become the enduring image that resides and presides in my memory. Let this be the centerpiece of the story I tell myself internally as my life story unfolds externally with its inevitable ups and downs.
Yes. See, we don't see our life in isolation. Whatever is happening in our life, we see it as a part of a narrative. We see it as a part of a story. So story can be various things. Okay, I'm an Indian who settled in America. I'm an engineer who is building a career. I'm a father or a mother. All these, a father and a mother or an engineer or an Indian immigrant, we can see these are designations or these are labels, but each noun has a particular sense of action behind it. It is not just like a table or a chair. It's an Indian American. What does that mean? There's a whole story behind it. So whenever we look at ourselves, we think of our life in terms of a story. Story means I am at a particular place, but I have come from a particular place and I'm going to a particular place. So now our mind is often telling some story about whatever is happening. So when we use the word story, there are two aspects to it. One is that it is not static. It is dynamic. That it is, while we are talking about a particular time, but we are talking about it in a particular frame. And when it is dynamic, it also means it is having some direction. We can say the direction is, it could be upward, it could be downward, it could be the same level, whatever it is. It is moving and it is moving somewhere. So for example, when we try to do something in life, say we all may experience some loss. Loss could mean that we may lose a job. It's when I started coming to America from 2014, and I noticed that when I started talking with Americans, I noticed that many Americans are quite nonchalant about losing their jobs. They will say that, if you say I'm jobless, most Americans don't like to use the word jobless. This is not I'm between jobs. So it's okay, I lost my job. It's optimistic, but it's also what? It's like a job is not that big a thing. Okay, I lost one job, I'll get another job. So when there's a loss of a job, because there could be loss of money, we invested some money, we lose some money. So when there's a loss, how we see that loss is based on the kind of story that we're telling ourselves. So one could be that I have lost. This is the story we tell ourselves broadly when we're suffering. It's objective. Okay, I had this, I lost this. I had the opportunity, lost it. Now, a little more damaging could be I am lost. This is the interpretation in Rajas. In Rajas, you might get invested too much in a particular thing. If somebody has oriented their entire life to become an athlete, and they find that they get a career-ending injury, and then it's devastating. What do? I'm lost now. And then people say you have to reinvent yourself now. You have to start a second phase in life story. This phase is over, so it's not easy. I am lost. I don't know what to do. But the most damaging is I am a loser. This is the interpretation in Tamas. So in the first, it is just the loss of possession. Second, it's the loss of purpose. But the third is the loss of self-worth itself. It's a loss of self-worth, self-identity, everything. It's a loss of hope completely. I am a loser. If we were doing a business with someone and if we started feeling that our business partner is a loser, then we would try as quickly as possible to break that partnership. Because if I am with a loser, I'll also lose, I'll also go down. But if we start thinking, I am a loser, can we break up with ourselves? It's extreme. We cannot. Or can we? The suicide is in many ways a tragic attempt to break up with oneself. So essentially what happens is that when we face challenges in life, that our mind is telling some kind of story to ourselves. And that story determines how much of an impact that particular event will have on us. So broadly speaking, now there can be many different stories, but broadly the stories that we can tell ourselves, they fall into categories. One is that there's just I am here and the world is here in front of me. So the other would be that I am here, the world is here, but above is Krishna. So one is the non-theistic, the other is the theistic. Now when we have a non-theistic view of looking at the world, it could be materialistic, it could be nihilistic, whatever it is. Then our entire life story becomes reduced to two things. What was done by me and what was done to me. Now, when these two are there, what was done by me and to me. Now, more often than not, we feel that what was done to me is bad. People treat me badly. Life has treated me unfairly. And within this, it's very easy to become resentful. We start feeling that the world is not treating me properly, and that makes us resentful. And if we are a bit honest, really introspective, we often can admit that even I have not done the best that I could have done. I have made a mess of things. And when you start feeling that maybe I cannot do the right thing. So we start becoming insecure. So we become insecure about our own capacity to do well. And we become resentful about how the world is doing. And this makes us, even one of these is difficult to deal. This resentfulness or insecurity are difficult to deal with. But if both come together, it becomes almost impossible. It becomes almost impossible to deal with. But that is one reason why when God is removed from the story that we are telling ourselves, and it's just we against the big bad world. And this is one reason why mental health problems are increasing so much. In the scientific narrative of human history, we are far more comfortable, we are far more prosperous than what we were as compared to recent history, recorded history for the past 500 years, 1000 years. And as they call the pioneers, when they came from Europe to America, the average lifespan at that time was around 40 to 50 years. For 5-6 generations, no, not 5-6, for several generations, nobody lived beyond that. A 60-year-old person was a rarity. But life was so tough. It's all wilderness, the constant fights and everything. So life at a physical level has definitely become more comfortable. And yet, there's so much distress at the mental level. There are many reasons for it, but one of the key reasons is that we have lost any positive story to tell ourselves. So all of life is about, okay, what this person did to me or what I did. But when we have a theistic worldview, then we understand that what is done by me, what is done to me, it is all in some ways under God. It is God filtered. Is God filtered? Now the filtered means what? That if there is pure water, then the water will just pass through nicely through filter. If there is impurity in the water, then to a certain degree the impurity will be removed. Some small impurity might remain, but a majority of the impurity will be removed. So like that, what a theistic worldview tells us is that yes, I am doing certain things, people are doing certain things to me, but everything is within the jurisdiction of God. So when we say it is God filtered, this idea of a filter means that it can be Krishna's intention, or at the very basic level, it is Krishna's permission. Nothing happens without Krishna's permission. Upadashta Anumanta. And this understanding that my story is a part of a bigger story. Life is a human-divine partnership that has the capacity to give us a lot of reassurance. I'm not alone struggling against this big bad world. I'm not alone struggling against my own misconceptions and misgivings and anarthas. Yes. Through it all, in some ways, Krishna is in charge. So this understanding can solace us, can help us face life's challenges with a greater level of confidence. Would I read the next paragraph?
The world outside and the mind inside tell me many stories. Stories in which sometimes I'm a winner and sometimes I'm a loser. These stories are always centered on either what is done to me or what is done by me. But both what is done to me and what is done by me are meant to be a part of your magnificent and benevolent plan for my ultimate welfare and indeed for everyone's ultimate welfare.
So yes, Duryodhan did terrible things to the Pandavas. Duryodhan, if we consider our daily life, the two activities where we relax the most is when we are eating food or we are at our home resting, sleeping. And to be attacked at those two times itself, to have food poisoned. I met one devotee who told me that he is from a very wealthy family and there was some business rivalry. He said that there was an attempt to poison him when he was a small child. He survived. But he says, even now, whenever I see food, the first thought that comes, however tasty that food will be, the first thought that comes is fear. Might there be something? So, how many of us, the effects of, how many of us can even think like that? Think of food which is going to sustain us, and you see it and first think, there's something, might there be something in this? It can cause lifelong trauma. And then the attempt to burn after having a special home built for them, apparently have the plan to burn it all. A person can die, but burning is the most painful way. The whole skin, the entire body burns. It's horrible. So horrible things happened to the Pandavas. But through it all, Krishna was working. And the Pandavas never became resentful. This happened to me, that happened to me. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Now, what they did, we'll talk about it shortly, they were not resentful. That is the key point. Were they insecure? Well, they were vulnerable kids. When they came back, they could have been insecure. But they did not. Insecurity as an emotion may sometimes come. Resentfulness as an emotion may also sometimes come. We are after all human beings. But let those emotions stay and dominate and define us, that's where it becomes a problem. So they found and they built on their stress. And that way they moved on. So, and if you know that, I need crutches for walking. So when I was 1, I got polio. I was staying in a small town in Maharashtra in India, and my mother took me to a clinic to get a polio vaccine. But because it was a small town, there was power outage over there. And the previous night, there had been a power outage in the fridge. Power outage in that clinic. And because of that, the temperature of the fridge in which the vaccine had been kept had risen inordinately. And because of that, the germs in the vaccine had multiplied. And neither the attendant nor the physician noticed that. And when that vaccine was given to me, instead of preventing polio, it ended up causing polio. I don't remember any of that. I was just learning to walk and I fell down and I could not walk normally thereafter. But my first memory of that is when I was about 2.5 or 3, and a distant relative had come to meet us, and she was consoling my mother, saying, "Oh, it's so sad, your son got polio." And I remember my mother's voice, very calm, clear, confident. She said, "Whatever he lacks physically, God will provide him intellectually." I don't know why she said that. Maybe it was hope, maybe it was she observed something, maybe she was encouraging me. But she's not speaking to me, she was just speaking to the relative, and I just overheard it. But somehow that stayed with me. Not the God part. The intellectually part stayed initially. The God part came later. But as I started, I couldn't, as I was growing up, I couldn't play outdoor games that other kids could play. So naturally, there's a part of me that felt this was unfair. What did I do to deserve this physical disability? But when I started reading and studying, I noticed that I could read quite rapidly. I could understand things well. I could articulate things clearly. I could remember things well, fairly well. So somewhere at the back of my mind, it settled that, what did I do to deserve this intellectual ability? So yes, life is unfair, but in the big picture, life is fairly unfair. Fairly unfair means that sometimes we get more than what we deserve and sometimes we get less than what we deserve. So it is our choice, guided by our well-wishers of course, that which part do we focus on. If we focus on how life is unfair, we will be resentful. If we focus on how life is fair, we can be resourceful. We can see, okay, what can I do about it? The Pandavas came back to the kingdom because their father had passed away and they needed a protector. Now, they found Duryodhan to be an enemy. Dhritarashtra was passive, probably consenting with Duryodhan. Bhishma was silent. He could have said, this is all unfair. What did we do? We didn't come here to usurp your claim to the kingdom. This came because the sages told us to and our father had passed away. And the Pandavas saw that Vidura is there. Vidura is guiding us. Vidura is protecting us. See, Yudhishthira has become the world emperor. But after he has become the world emperor, after he has fought so many wars, and he has survived wars, after it all, the Bhagavatam describes when he sees Vidura comes back to the kingdom. The metaphor he uses is so moving. He says, oh Vidura, you protected us just as a mother bird protects its babies by spreading its wings around. So the idea is that Vidura, what is he referring to? It's quite likely that he's referring to how Vidura had arranged for a digger to dig the tunnel, or he had a boatman to help them find the boat. Right, so Vidura was in one place, but by his arrangement, the Pandavas had assistance. And of course, the Pandavas themselves were resourceful, no doubt, to take all that assistance. But the point is that when we see that whatever is happening in my life, it's not just I alone against the world, but there is a bigger plan, that there is a higher purpose, that life is a human divine partnership. Then we can look beyond to the unfairness of life. The unfairness can be in terms of what situations or adversities are coming in our life. The unfairness can be in terms of what inabilities or inadequacies we have. Beyond it all, that there are things right in our life. So we can look at the fairness of life. Who would like to begin?
Let this remembrance of your merciful integration of my life story into your plan be the guiding and guarding light for all my decisions. Let it be the guiding factor that pushes me forward, even though difficult situations. Let it also be the guarding factor that keeps me away from knee-jerk reactions that take me away from you.
Yes. So my story, so we are here and we tell some story about our life. But our story is within Krishna's story. That our story, our life story, whatever it is not isolated. There is Krishna's story, this is Krishna's plan, and it is within that. So this is where I'm not focusing on the second part, which is second and third part of line connected. But if you forget everything from this session, if you remember this four-quadrant diagram, this is the Krishna as protector. It is our conception of God. That's what we're talking about. Our conception of God and how it affects us. That's the last part I'm going to talk about. So this is building on what I mentioned earlier. Krishna as protector and Krishna as commander. Now, if we have faith that Krishna is the protector, this makes us peaceful. Okay, whatever is happening in life, Krishna is there, Krishna will protect us. And that is important, that is good. But Krishna as commander, when we have this understanding, then it makes us purposeful. Not just peaceful, but purposeful. So, it is not just that whatever is happening to me, somehow Krishna will act and Krishna will take care. And so God's plan for me involves that that whatever is happening to me, it is God filtered. That whatever is happening, whoever has done to me, that Krishna is the protector. But Krishna's plan is not just involving what is happening to me. It is also involving what is happening through me. It is what I am meant to do. So that's why I talk about Krishna as a protect. Krishna protects and Krishna guides. Krishna instructs. Krishna commands. So this now being peaceful is good. Now I'm not talking here about the idea that if you consider somebody doesn't consider Krishna as protector or Krishna as commander. So now if there is neither, then basically this is a non-theistic worldview. So this is sooner or later we will be lost. We will suffer because we will find that okay, right now I am fine in life, but how long will I be fine? See, atheism does not remove life's problems. The weather becomes terrible, the political environment becomes unstable, if our own health becomes terrible. All these problems will come to theists and atheists. So atheism does not remove life's sufferings. It only removes the hope that life's sufferings have some purpose. So that everything is moving somewhere. That through whatever is happening, something good will emerge. So we are just lost because atheism, in a non-theistic worldview, the suffering remains. But the hope dies. And that's one reason why it is psychologically, it is a very damaging worldview. But that does not mean all brands of religion are psychologically uplifting. That depends. That one fanaticism or fear-inducing religion, that can be a problem. But atheism can be psychologically quite damaging. Sigmund Freud had the idea that religion is an illusion. Karl Marx had the idea that religion is the opium of the masses. So there's lots of scientific evidence now which shows that people who have some religious or spiritual dimension in their lives, they are actually healthier, physically healthier, mentally healthier. There's one scientist who published a paper recently, he said that if religion is an illusion, then we all should want to be having this illusion because it is a health-inducing illusion. If religion is opium, then we all should get addicted to this opium, at least for the perspective of health. He's not talking from the perspective of ontology, whether God exists or not, we don't know. But from its effect. So, this is, if you don't consider God at all, then it's lost. Now, if you consider Krishna only as a protector, then it is possible that we may be disappointed. That, because we may feel that Krishna should be protecting me, but what is Krishna doing? Why is Krishna not doing anything? What is happening in my life? I did this and I did this and nothing. What happened? So, Draupadi breaks down, and when Draupadi meets Krishna in the forest, she says, after they have been exiled, she says, Krishna, I'm your relative, I'm your friend, I'm your devotee, I deserve your protection. Why did this happen? Now, of course, Draupadi is a pure devotee, but that she is depicting a human emotion. So we all can be disappointed if we expect that Krishna will be the protector. Then Krishna, it may appear that Krishna is not protecting. Now, we can say that in due course of time, things will be revealed how Krishna was protecting, and that is true, no doubt. But I'm talking not here right now of the philosophical aspect of it. I'm talking more from the experiential aspect of it. It is possible that we can feel disappointed. Now, if we think of Krishna as a commander, but not as a protector, that means it's sometimes a boss tells us to do something which is very difficult. And when things don't work out, then the boss just pins the whole blame on us. It's like, I tell you to do this, I command you to do this, but how to do it, that's all your problem. And if you get in trouble, that's your problem. So now, here, if we see God as a commander, but not as a protector, then we will feel that God is like an imposer on us. We will feel suffocated. We will feel that I don't have any autonomy. We feel that, why do I have to obey God? That we will feel over micro-controlled or suffocated. See, it's interesting in the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes people say Krishna had Arjuna had Krishna with him, so Arjuna could get guidance from Krishna. But if you look at what happens after the Bhagavad Gita, it is not that Krishna is constantly guiding Arjuna. Krishna is not micro-controlling Arjuna. It is not that before Arjuna shoots every arrow, Krishna is asking, Arjuna asking, Krishna, can I shoot this arrow? Can I shoot this arrow? Can I shoot this arrow? No, Arjuna is his own person. So, Krishna is the commander, but he is also the protector. He is the commander and the protector. So a protector, as I said in the beginning, what protector means that it's like a bodyguard. I want to do what I want to do, your job is to protect me. But Krishna is the commander means that Krishna has a mission for our life. That Krishna has a plan and a purpose for our life. And while it is our part to try to, so protector is more about what happens to us, what is done to us. When we accept Krishna as a protector, that means what is done to me, Krishna will take care of that. But when Krishna is a commander we see, then it is what is done by us. So, in one sense, the end of the Bhagavad Gita is more about what Krishna is, what Arjuna is going to do. Some of you may have seen this Gita Sar. He says, जो हुआ वो अच्छा हुआ, जो हो रहा है वो अच्छा हो रहा है, जो होने वाला है वो भी अच्छा ही होगा. Whatever happened was good, whatever is happening is good, whatever will happen will be good. Now, I haven't found any verse in the Gita which says this. I talk with many devotees. I have read the Gita probably over 100 times, recited many more times. But I talk with devotees who are fully around the Gita. There's no verse which comes anywhere near this. Now, is it true? Well, that is a different question. But is it the teaching of the Gita? Because the Gita's emphasis is not on what is happening to us. That is not the question of Arjuna. Arjuna's question is, Puchhami tvam dharma sammajita. I want to know what is the right thing to do for me. So, based on that understanding, it is, the Gita's focus is what is it that I am going to do? Or what is that I should be doing? So, from that perspective, actually, the Gita's emphasis is more on Krishna as a commander. What we are meant to do. Krishna is protector and Krishna is a commander. So when bhakti is not just about being peaceful. It is between being peaceful and more than that, being purposeful. So this is where a devotee feels not just protected, but empowered. So it's protected is almost like say there are terrorists or criminals or rioters are running around and we stay in our house and we lock our house and our houses are safe enough, we are safe, we are protected. But if we are given guns, we are given training and we have equipment, then we can fight and not only protect ourselves, we protect others. That's where we are empowered. So the Gita's, there's a significant difference between the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. In the Ramayana, Lord Ram is the main hero. In the Mahabharata, it is the Pandavas who are the main heroes. Of course, there is the Bhagavatam where Krishna is the hero, no doubt. But in the Mahabharata, it is the Mahabharata's call. In the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, it is not just that God is the hero and watch how wonderful hero God is. It is God is a hero and in the service of God, you become a hero. So at the end of the Gita, it is Arjuna who picks up his bow in readiness to fight. So for us, when we talk about Krishna's protection, it is not that we just passively wait and watch. How will Krishna protect me? It is that we also use our intelligence, that we use our resources, we use our intelligence. And when we say Krishna is our commander, that does not mean that Krishna has to come mystically in some dream and tell us, do this, don't do this. Of course, Krishna can speak to us through a spiritual master, but it is not that our spiritual master is going to be always with us. The idea is, to conclude with this point, what does it mean that Krishna is our commander? That how do we, if Krishna has a plan for us, or we are a part of Krishna's plan, then what does it mean for us? There is, Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita 15.7 that Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha. What it means is we are parts of Krishna always. We are parts of Krishna always. And what this means is, at a philosophical level, what it implicates at a psychological level is, we have parts in Krishna's plan always. We have parts. Because we are parts of Krishna, we have parts in Krishna's plan always. Sanatana. No matter what has happened in our life, there is something for me to do. If we are alive, that itself is sufficient evidence that Krishna is not yet done with us. Krishna has something to do through us. That, of course, even if we die, Krishna, in the future life, Krishna can do something through us. But in this life also, there is something for us to do. Now, when we say there is something, what does that mean? If I say Krishna has a plan for my life. So Krishna's plan, if you have to understand, we consider, say, there is the mountain and there is the ocean. Now from the mountain toward the ocean, there can be many rivers that can go. And each river will go by its own path. So in one sense, the river has, all rivers have a common destiny. But each river also has an individual destiny. All rivers have the common destiny that they are meant to go to the ocean. But each river has an individual destiny in the sense that it has to find its own path to the ocean. If you look at the map of the world, the way the rivers go to the ocean, it's quite remarkable. It's not that most rivers go straight to the ocean. Like you say, the Brahmaputra river is in northern India, China, and it starts from here, it goes all the way like this, and there's a huge turn, it comes down, it goes like this, it goes. It goes quite a roundabout way, you can see. But in its roundabout way, when the river is going to the ocean, it is actually benefiting hundreds and thousands and millions of life forms along the way. So, for all of us, we are like the river. Now, the Mayavadis use this metaphor to say that we will merge into God. But for us, the river is an ongoing flow, and that our consciousness is meant to keep flowing toward Krishna. But for each one of us, it is for us to find out, in this particular situation that I am in, how can I move toward Krishna? How can I act in a way that can be of some service to Krishna? When Prabhupada came to America, he has this Boro Krupa Koile Krishna Dhamera Prati. Krishna, you are very merciful to me. Ki lagi e ani lahi pe Boro ekhi gati. And he says, Ache kichu karja tabbe ehi anumane. That you must have some purpose for me. Otherwise, why would you bring me here? We may feel lost, abandoned, confused, baffled, devastated. All kinds of feelings may come. Life is difficult. But if we look at our own life, there are so many things we are at a particular place in our life right now, and we may feel this is a place where I am lost, I'm abandoned, I'm betrayed, I am whatever, abused, whatever. But if we look at our own life, in the past, we may feel right now a big disaster has come upon me. But if we look at our life in the past, there's so many times when bad things have happened to us. And each of these could have been devastating, life shattering, life ending. So yes, we did something to deal with it and we emerged from it. But so many things could have gone wrong. That they didn't go wrong suggests that there was a guiding hand over it. If Krishna has helped us through all those adversities, why will He not help us now? Why has Krishna brought us this far to abandon us now? Why would Krishna do that? So Prabhupada is saying that, Krishna, you have brought me this far. You must have some plan for me. Why would you bring me this far to abandon me? So this last one, faith, when we talk about it, faith has these two components. There is both certainty and uncertainty. Certainty in the principle that Krishna has a plan, that Krishna protects. Krishna, that I'm a part of Team Krishna. But now the word uncertainty can be a bit disorienting. But for a devotee, this uncertainty actually leads to curiosity. Or rather, we can put it that uncertainty is, even Prabhupada is saying, Ache kichu karya tabe ei anumane. Anuman means I'm guessing, I'm inferring, I'm assuming. So, it is not that Prabhupada had a hotline to Krishna where whenever Prabhupada would meet anyone, Prabhupada would tell, Krishna was telling him, this person is not going to become a devotee, don't waste time on this person. This person is going to become a devotee, spend more time on this person. No, Prabhupada was exploring. And he tried 100 things. In 1919 to work, one work. And then one worked so spectacularly that the last 10 years of his life were an amazing testimony to the power of God. And of course to his own devotion to what could be done. So for a devotee, there will be uncertainty. What a devotee has the faith means we have the confidence that Krishna has a plan. But there is also the uncertainty that I am a finite being. So I can't know for sure what is Krishna's plan. So if you put it in the pendulum, if you consider faith, if somebody thinks only in terms of certainty, this can very easily lead to arrogance. If there's only certainty in our faith, this can actually lead to fanaticism. It can lead to ego, and from ego it can lead to fanaticism. Like faith is, I am a part of Team Krishna, and I'll always be a part of Team Krishna. But ego and fanaticism is where Krishna is lucky to have me on his team. Now we may not think like that, but we don't consciously think like that, but it's like that. See, some of the worst atrocities in the world have been done by people who were confident that they were doing God's will. When religious extremists kill people, they're fully confident that they're doing God's will. If you look at Srila Prabhupada's example, Prabhupada was quite confident that Krishna wanted him to share his message. Krishna wanted him to preach. But Prabhupada was always very open. When an ordinary postman told him, Swamiji, you are writing magazines, people read a magazine and throw it away. You write books, people will preserve the books. Prabhupada didn't say, who do you think you are to tell me? I am a Mahabhagat, pure devotee. Mind your own business. No, Prabhupada was open to that. Okay. That my life is dedicated to service of Krishna, Prabhupada had no doubt about it. He had that certainty that Krishna has a plan for him. But what exactly is that plan? How can I best serve Krishna in this situation? So there, if our faith is centered only on uncertainty, then that is not faith at all in one sense. That, Yes, I believe in Krishna. Krishna has a plan. But Krishna is so big and I am so small, I can never know Krishna's plan. So then what do? Because I can't know Krishna's plan, so let me just do whatever I want. So if there's only uncertainty, then that will lead to directionlessness for us. We'll just be lost, we'll be prey to our mind. The combination of certainty and uncertainty is curiosity for a day. See, when we are curious, say if we are in a classroom, say all of you sitting in this class and you're trying to understand what is being spoken about. Now, just to have this curiosity, there has to be a certain foundation of certainty. Now, every one of you who is sitting here is quite certain that the person sitting next to you is not going to suddenly turn upon you and punch you in the face. Don't get any ideas. No, is that possible? You could say anything is possible. But if somebody has come for a spiritual talk like this, they understand they have that much level, they will probably have that much level of impulse control, self-discipline. They're not going to act in that. So for curiosity, there has to be a foundation of certainty. Isn't it? If there is no foundation of some level of certainty, we cannot have curiosity. Or the curiosity cannot be sustained for us. So when you say Athato Brahma Jitnasa, that is not just a starting aphorism for beginning the spiritual journey. Of course it is. But Brahma for us is Krishna is Param Brahma. And Brahma Jigyasa is, okay, how does Krishna want me to serve right now? And ultimately, what is the answer? How does Krishna want us to serve right now? It is, okay, I am in this situation. What? Ultimately, in every situation, we have a choice. Either I can be resourceful or I can be resentful. So I can, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. What is the use of doing anything? Resourceful, okay. What is good in the situation and what can I do with it? So if we have this curiosity, each one of us, basically, we can move it. When Abhimanyu is killed, it's a devastating loss for Arjuna. I conclude with this point, and the final point that when Abhimanyu is killed, Arjuna is shattered completely. Arjuna goes through various emotions. First is disbelief and shock. Then there is guilt. Because he feels, what kind of father am I that I was not there to protect my son? No, I went and sought my own glory and left my son. And then guilt, it goes to anger. Anger towards his own brothers. And he lashes out at them. And he says, are all your weapons just ornaments? Could not one of you protect my son? Fire on you! For Bhima and Yudhishthira especially, these words are like verbal lashes. And at that time, Krishna comes to Arjuna and pulls him into a side hug. And Krishna tells Arjuna, oh Partha, in this world, bad things happen to everyone. The wise and the unwise. The difference between the two is that when bad things happen, the unwise act in ways that make things worse. The wise act in ways that make things better. So that is ultimately the choice we have. How, in my situation, what can I do to serve Krishna? So when we say curiosity about how should I serve Krishna? What is Krishna's plan for me? That can be reduced to a simple question. In this particular situation, what will make things better? What will make things worse? So this particular theme of what will make things better and what will make things worse, I will elaborate more in the Sunday Feast class we'll have. That can we really know what will make things better, what will make things worse? We may not know that right now, but we can at least say in the next 1 moment, next 1 minute, next 1 hour, if somebody is treating me very bad, if somebody is angry with me, if I am going to lash out at that person, is that going to make things better? Is that going to make things worse? So faith means that we can at least use our intelligence to decide, okay, maybe lashing out at this person is not going to help. So faith means to be ready to take one step forward, even when the full path is not clear. That theme of mere curiosity, that we take one step forward. One step, how do we take that one step forward? That is based on understanding. Okay, in my understanding, this step will help me move ahead. One step forward, even when the full path is not clear. Path may be dark also. So how to take these small steps? Shanai, Shanai, Krishna says, gradually, step by step. That I'll talk in the last section. Who would like to read the last paragraph?
My dear Lord, bless me so that my life journey can always remain a harmonious part of your unfolding ultimate story.
Unfolding ultimate story. So it is a story that is continuously unfolding in our lives. And we all can be a part of that unfolding. So I'll summarize, we are talking about the role of faith in facing challenges. So I started by talking about levels of faith. In levels, we started about how faith can start from God exists to God cares. Then God helps. Then God protects. So all these are good, but till this point these are more self-centered. So, I want to do what I want to do, so God is like a bodyguard, God will protect me. Whatever I do. But beyond that it moves forward to God guides. God instructs. Now instructs and commands, like a doctor may give an instruction, follow this. But commands means the doctor includes us in the medical team. He says do this, do that. It's like a war. We are included in the team. So it's an increasing level. So for all of us, when we go through life, if our worldview is non-theistic, then all of life is about what happens to us and what is done to us and what is done by us. And we end up feeling either life is unfair because what is done to us can make us resentful, or what is done by us can make us feel insecure. So often this is associated with fear and desire. I want to get something and I'm afraid of losing things. All this is natural, it's human. But there is something more beyond this that is possible for us. And the theistic worldview is where we understand that whatever is happening in my life, it is, yes, I am here. What is happening? God, it is all God filtered. That in some ways, it is all a part of Krishna's plan. It is God filtered. And this God filtered, this understanding, we discussed this broadly, this whole diagram, that Krishna is, we see Krishna as a protector. That is one level, and Krishna as commander. So we think of Krishna as protector, that can make us peaceful. Krishna is there to protect me, but as Krishna as commander, that can make us purposeful. Now we as human beings, we want to be peaceful, but we don't just want to be peaceful, we want to do something in our life. So if we have neither of these, we have no faith in God, we are lost. Atheism does not remove life suffering, it only removes the hope that life sufferings may have some purpose. If we only think of Krishna as protector, we may end up disappointed because we become passive just waiting for Krishna to protect us. If we think of Krishna only as a commander, not as a protector, then we feel suffocated. That I'm forced to do certain things, but then I'm not provided the support. But if we have both, then we feel empowered. And many of the more responsible militaries in the world, we will not leave anyone behind. We go on an expedition, then if some person is abandoned, left behind somewhere, we'll go and rescue that person. So Krishna is the commander, but Krishna is also the protector. And then this is the first one we talk about levels of faith, and next I talk about conceptions of God. What is our conception? And last part was about the effect on us. So for us, if we understand this, then we understand that faith is a combination of, if I'm a part of Team Krishna and I'll always be a part of Team Krishna, And faith is not just certainty. Because it's only certainty that can lead to fanaticism and arrogance and fanaticism. Because we can never know precisely what is Krishna's plan. But on the other hand, the certainty is Krishna has a plan. The uncertainty may be about, okay, what is exactly Krishna's plan? So in between both of these is curiosity. Curiosity that Krishna has a plan, but let me explore, let me try to use my intelligence to understand what is the plan. And when we talk about Krishna's plan, the curiosity is what? How can I instead of being resentful and making things worse, let me try to be resourceful. So how can I be resourceful in the particular situation that I am in? So we discuss how life may be unfair, but in the big picture life is fairly unfair. We focus on the fair part rather than the unfair part. And we discuss faith means to take one step forward, that even if the path is not clear. So let me focus on that one step forward. That was what Srila Prabhupada was doing when he came to America. And in that way, eventually Krishna's plan manifested in his life. So let us conclude by once more offering this prayer in the beginning. And repeat after me. My dear Lord, let me remember that my life story is a part of your story. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Do you have a few minutes for questions? Yes, ma'am.
So this जो कुछ हो रहा है अच्छा हो रहा है, right? This philosophy that we have. So we can relate to two verses from the Bhagavad Gita. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sacharacharam and suridam sarva bhutana. There are two verses, the 5.29 and then in the 9th chapter.
I'm not sure whether that is the implication that we have drawn from it. See, there's a
No,
difference between,
what I'm saying
no,
is
so there's a difference between Krishna is in control. There are many verses which talk about that God is in control. There is one Christian philosophy, one strand of Christian philosophy which says God is not in control. Right? That bad things happen because the world is controlled by Satan. And eventually God will be in control. And that time the faithful people, the believers will be protected. But till then they may have to suffer because of Satan, in spite of God. That's the idea. Now, it is a tasyanuvihito rajan, that when Bhishma is telling Yudhishthira to fight, tasya anuvihito rajan. And there Prabhupada translates it as everything is within God's plan. So what I mean by that is that it is at a particular level of our experience, bad things do happen. And to tell somebody that what has happened is good. There's a difference between everything that happens is good and everything that happens is for good. Good can come out of a bad thing. But at that particular point, the thing is bad. And to deny that human experience that it is bad, it is quite dehumanizing. At least I have not read in the Mahabharata that Krishna tells Draupadi that the trauma that she went through with being attempted to be destroyed, that was a good thing.
No, like we say this Tatenu Kampam verse, right? So when bad things happen, it's Krishna purifying us through the bad things so that we lose our attachment.
Yeah, but still, it's a bad thing. It is even if it's my karma, and it's my karma coming as suffering. What is Krishna's mercy? That the quantity of suffering has been decreased. But still, it's suffering. You cannot deny or even devalue the human experience of what we have. It is the kind of sufferings that are there.
No, I was thinking that the material world is to push everybody towards purification.
No, so that's why I'm saying that everything is for good. Mm-hmm. So there is, okay, this is an important point to understand that. When I was traveling a couple of years ago, I was at one given place, and then one devotee is scared. He had just got his license, so he said he will drive me to various programs. So we went for 3-4 days. He was driving me several hours. We started talking quite a bit, and then he had a lot of interest in English literature. Shakespeare, and some other literature like that. So I also had a lot of interest in that. So we started talking about various things. So one day he told me that I feel as if my parents don't love me at all. I said, what made you feel like this? He said, I've seen you with your parents with you. They have talked with me. They care very deeply for you. He says, yeah, of course they care for you. He says, I feel as if they love a future version of me. And they're simply tolerating the present me till the future version comes. Now it is very insightful and articulate to think like that. But then of course I consoled him and I explained to him that to have somebody who cares for a future version of me is also good. But then I was thinking that we may also think like that. That Krishna will love us when we become pure devotees. That Krishna is just tolerating right now. You are like this, it's like this. So it's almost as if Krishna doesn't care what happens to us as long as something good comes out of it. That is not the nature of Krishna's relationship. Krishna cares for us, what is going through us, what we are going through right now also. So Krishna knows the pain that we are going through. And yes, Krishna knows that the pain is for a bigger purpose. So Krishna will ensure that the pain that comes through it will be for a bigger purpose. But that does not mean Krishna tells us, Krishna wants us to not feel the pain. Or Krishna wants us to, Krishna will consider us as a lesser human being or a lesser devotee because we are feeling the pain. So there is a human experience. Is it that, say, it's in freezing winter, we have to come for, say, Mangalarti Seva, and we feel very cold. Now, should we say, I don't feel cold at all? That is not the sign of devotion. The sign of devotion is, if this is my service, even if I feel cold, I'll come to service. But the point is, there is a physical experience, well, there is emotional experience. So it's like, everything that happens, there are two very different things. Everything that happens is good. Is good versus is for good. So now, if we say is good, this is seriously questionable. Bad things do happen. Everything that happens is good. Then we can say this world is dukkha, the dukkha is also is good only. So why do we come out of it also? So is it good? It is for good. So there is the present me and there is the future me. So I was telling this boy this point that if we care only, if as parents we care only for the present child, then the child will be stagnated. The child says, I just want to play, I don't want to study, I don't want to do anything, it will help me in my future life. He'll get stagnated. We can't, that's just caring for the present me. Say, if we are caught in a storm and we have only food for 7 days, and you think, let's have a feast today. Okay, we'll have feast today, and after 3 days we'll have no food. So I can't care for the present me at the cost of the future. But at the same time, if I care only for the future me, without caring for the present me, then we'll be suffocated. Say, no, we have only this much food, so don't eat any food right. We need food for the future me. But there will be no me for the future food. So, the point is that we need to be able to care for both. Care for the present me and the future me. So, yes, so it is not that Krishna knows that whatever bad is happening, that is for good. But right now, we are going through a terrible situation. And so sometimes it can come off as very dehumanizing. I'll give a couple of examples of this. This is a topic which is very close to my heart. I was in a particular country, and there's a lot of emphasis on book distribution. So I was staying at one devotee's home, young couple, very devoted, dedicated. I was, say, for 2-3 years I've been staying at their home. And once I came and the Mataji was completely shattered. The Prabhu was also looking very very down. So I asked them what happened. And they said that in their whole community there's a lot of emphasis on book distribution. And then so generally they would tell devotees, the community leaders would tell that, even if you get married, don't have any children. Because children will distract you from service. Such a reductionistic idea of what it is. What is service? But anyway, so then they had a child and she was expecting. And she had unfortunately miscarriage. And she called the community leader, a senior Mataji over there, and told this has happened. And the first thing that community Mataji says, Krishna has removed this obstacle so that you can continue distributing his books. She said, the first thought that came in my mind is that is Krishna a God who kills babies so that his books can be distributed? When I talked with that Mataji, she said that, I was only trying to help her see something positive in that situation. And she gave the example of the story of Narada boy. He said that when Narada's mother passed away, he saw it as Krishna has freed that attachment for me so that I can go towards God. So I told her, is there no difference between the two? No, it's exactly the same. There's a crisis. You see the crisis as a spiritual opportunity. He said that there, Narada is himself coming to that conclusion. Here, when you give that conclusion, we don't know what is the state of that person. So, instead, what happens is if that person is questioning their very faith, their very basis of devotion, questioning their very life, then all that they will see is that we are simply stuffing our ideology down their throat instead of comforting them in any way or helping them in any way. So yes, so now this devotee was guiding, she was not in any way ill-intentioned. So it is, what is that saying, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. So one of the key teachings in the Mahabharata is that good intentions are not a substitute for good intelligence. Good intentions are not a substitute for good intelligence. Yudhishthir went to the gambling match because he felt, these are my elders, how can I disobey them? He had taken resolve that I will always obey my elders. And good intentions. But then, it was not a good judgment, not a good intelligence. Now, of course, we can say it's all Krishna's plan. I'm talking from ethical perspective. So good intentions are not a substitute for good intelligence. So Abhimanyu had the best intentions. He wanted to follow Yudhishthira. Pandavas also made a good plan. They wanted to break it, but then somehow it didn't work out. So I won't say it was not good intelligence. Strategically, it was what was well decided. But my point is, intentions alone are not enough. So the objective of caring for the future me, that may be there. But are we also caring for the present future person, the present person? Both need to be cared for. And if that person doesn't feel cared for in that moment, then rather than seeing us as their well-wishers, they will see us as simply ideologues who are simply propagating our ideology without caring for them at all.
I was saying more in terms of seeing ourselves than telling others.
No, but means for ourselves also, it's not easy.
No, then we can say, okay, I'm suffering, but there is Krishna's plan. Like you said, even in that, there is Krishna's plan.
जो हुआ वो अच्छा हुआ. That means that there is no suffering. उसका मतलब क्या है? जो हुआ वो अच्छा हुआ. Can you say that to say, I know one devotee in Israel, he has lost 2 of his brothers in brutally killed. Now can you tell him जो हुआ अच्छा हुआ?
No, not to others, but to ours.
No, my point is that, is it that even for ourselves, we should not feel guilty if we don't feel like that. So Krishna has some plan. But the human experience of suffering cannot be denied over there. I'm sometimes a part of an editing team for various books. So there are some devotees who say that they want Prabhupada Lilamrut to be edited. So there's one place when David Allen, Prabhupada is staying with David Allen, and then at that time, David is supposed to become his disciple. He turns and attacks Prabhupada because of a drug-induced mania. And Prabhupada has to just leave from that place. So in the Lila Amrit, Prabhupada, Swamiji was shaken. So some devotee is there saying that this is offense to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was never shaken. Now, yes, Prabhupada was never shaken in his determination to serve Krishna. But is it that at that particular time he was not shaken? There's one place where this is a interview where when Indian reporter asked Prabhupada in 75, 76, many movements which start with the founder, after the founder departs, they all fall apart. You think something similar will happen to your movement? And Prabhupada said, why are you discouraging? Yes, Swami, I'm not discouraging, I'm just asking a question. But your question is discouraging, Prabhupada. Now, was Prabhupada the person who would have got discouraged by just one question like that? He was the person who, with no support from anyone, had gone all the way to America and plowed on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, till he got some success. So, but still, there were emotions. Prabhupada did not let those emotions control his decisions. But there were emotions. So that's my main point. That to say that something terrible that has happened is good and is for good, we cannot deny your experience at that particular time. This is, even if a devotee, as we ourselves feel bad, can we feel abandoned? Can we feel betrayed? Can we feel hurt? Yes, we can feel all those things. So it's that our devotion to Krishna is one emotion. It's a prominent emotion for us. But there are other emotions also which are there in our life. And those emotions should not take us away from our devotion to Krishna. But those emotions will be there. So in one sense, the body and the mind are similar. Like I give the example, the body will feel cold. That's just a physical response to external stimulus. Similarly, the mind may feel hurt. That's just a psychological response to a particular stimulus. So just as feeling cold is not a sign of spiritual deficiency. Similarly, feeling hurt is not a sign of a spiritual deficiency. Now, letting that hurt control us so much that we just give up our bhakti, that is a different thing.
Prabhu, I just had a reflection. First, I appreciated your efforts to turn every verse into a prayer. That is something that, just like we sing other acharyas' prayers, we could use this on a daily basis. But I was reflecting on where you said about the one line where you said that we need to recognize that what is happening in our life is ultimately for not just our welfare, but for everyone's welfare. And connecting it to those steps where up to protection is self-centered. Because when we try to overcome our suffering, oftentimes it's for a selfish motive. I don't want my family to suffer. But when we get to that place where Krishna is both protector and commander, and we feel like we are part of a bigger plan and we are empowered, we are no longer working just for our families or our circle of concern broadens. So, thank you.
Would you want to comment on how should one see the Pandav sons dying and the obvious irreversibles which are not often talked about in our classes that instill faith in Krishna's protection?
So how should we look and see the Pandavas' sons dying? And there are irreversibles that happen. And how do we maintain Krishna, our faith in Krishna's protection through such irreversibles? Yeah. I don't think there are any easy answers. I'll share some points which I have gathered from various sources. See, this world is, it works according to certain principles. So, okay, I don't know much of this I want to speak in the next session, but let me make one point. We will elaborate on afterwards. See, there is Prakriti. Prakriti is nature. And nature works on a simple principle. That is, might is right. Survival of the fittest. Now, from nature in human society, we can move towards Sanskriti. That is culture. Now, culture means might plus virtue is right. That it's not just survival of the fittest, it is sacrifice by the fittest for the unfit. So, survival of the fittest means that if a deer can't run fast enough, a tiger will catch and eat it. But sacrifice by the fittest means that if, say, we are walking on a road and we see a blind person trying to cross the road, and we see they are not crossing fast enough and a car is about to hit them, we may run and pull them aside. So now, we could say, let nature take its own course, and they are unfit, let them die. No, we don't do that. That is Sanskriti. Sanskriti is that virtue means we don't just let it be survival of the fittest. But the point is that for Sanskriti to be there, it's not just virtue that is required. Might is also required. That even when the culture cannot be implemented, it requires virtue, but virtue alone is not enough. Might is also required. So now, ideally, we humans need to go up from Prakriti to Sanskriti. But we also, animals mostly throughout live in this itself. Now there is Prakriti, there is Sanskriti, and there is Vikriti. There is nature, there is culture, and there is vulture. What do I mean by vulture? Vulture is the idea that vulture goes high up, but from its great height, it just looks down for corpses. So, Vikriti means that it is might plus vice is right. That means it is not just survival of the fittest, and certainly not sacrifice by the fittest. It is the devouring of the unfit by the fit. Of the unfit deliberately target the fit. Not for survival necessity, but just for pleasure. So like we humans, we can have compassionate action by which we can protect others. And there's so many systems like that, there's social security or social welfare and things. But we humans can come up with ideologies by which we can ourselves kill hundreds of thousands of people. Other human beings itself. So now the material world is such that there's a fundamental reality, might is right. That reality is not necessarily changed by spirituality. We will talk about extraordinary incidents when the Pandavas were protected by Krishna. And that those are important incidents. But we see that did not stop Arjuna from trying his best to become the best archer. And Arjuna used his ability. So the Pandavas, if you consider, when they did not have might, they were also persecuted by the Kauravas. The Kauravas tried to burn them alive. The Kauravas tried to cheat them of their kingdom and just give them a barren wilderness as the other half of the kingdom. So through it all, the Pandavas were gaining strength. Bhima continued practicing his base fighting in the forest. Arjuna performed greater austerities to gain weapons. Yudhishthira, it's interesting, learned gambling in the forest. The thing is, gambling got you into trouble. Why are you learning gambling again? If in future something challenges me, I should be better equipped. You try to avoid getting into that, I'll be better equipped. So in the material world, we as devotees, we don't expect or insist that Krishna interfere with the laws of nature to protect us. Krishna can do it at times. But that's not what a devotee expects or demands. It is that a devotee recognizes that might is right. And even though we try to cultivate virtue, but we also, if we want to do some service in the world, we also need to cultivate the appropriate might. So Prabhupada always had great devotion. If you read his back to God articles, if you read his books in 1920s, 30s, it is not that those writings have lesser potency than what he wrote in 1967. So he always had bhakti, so we can equate virtue with bhakti over here. But that virtue did not have much impact till he came to America and he got followers, and then when he came back to India, he had that might. And that's how Indians took him seriously. So Prabhupada's coming to America was, you could say, it had a spiritual purpose, but it was a material strategy. What do you mean by material strategy? Sometimes devotees talk about this idea of spiritual solutions to material problems. Well, actually, there can be spiritual consciousness that guides us, but material problems require material solutions. If, say, for today's program, prasad is less. Now, what would be a spiritual solution? Oh, prasad is not there, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Now, we can offer that as a spiritual solution. But if we are offering that as a spiritual solution, then we should not be taking the material responsibility of being the kitchen in charge. Isn't it? If we take the material responsibility, then we have to do the material right. If we lose something and we go to the police, and the police say you lost something because of your own past karma, that is not your job. What is your dharma? Your dharma is to protect me. See? So we cannot make. For material problems, material solutions are required. But there can be spiritual vision, spiritual consciousness that guides us in finding and implementing those material solutions. So when Prabhupada decided to come to America, he found Indians were not interested in spirituality. But he saw Indians were very infatuated by the West at that time, by the white skin. So now Indians not being interested in spirituality is Maya. Indians being infatuated by the white skin is also Maya. Isn't it? But Prabhupada used one form of Maya to counter another form of Maya. Isn't it? So, his analysis, the Prabhupada would have said, oh, the spiritual cause of my failure in preaching is, I'm not pure enough. Therefore, what should I do? Purity is the force. So, let me just stay in India, stay in Vrindavan, purify myself, let me give 64 rounds, and people will come on their own. No, Prabhupada did not do that. Purity is the force, that is true, but that purity also has to be exposed to practical actions. Prabhupada said, for Krishna consciousness to spread, when Guru Maharaj asked him that question, he said, organize human intelligence. Why not say that pure chanting is important? That's of course important, no doubt. But in this world, we need to have material solution also. Somehow we have made material into a dirty word sometimes. But material is not a dirty word, it's a functional word in this world. So, if devotees are not protected, if say the Pandavas were not protected, Pandava sons were not protected, we can go into each particular situation. So it's just that they didn't have the might at that time. Irwan was overcome by Alam Bush. Abhimanyu was overcome. There's a conspiracy, it was a vikruti. It was might plus vice. But the world is a harsh place, and if we lack the appropriate might, we can't demand that Krishna intervene each time. So Ashwatthama had that vengeance. And then he targeted the Pandavas at that time. It was horrible, but as devotees, we need to have might, we need to have virtue, but we also need might. There's only virtue but not might. Then it will not work in this world. That India was subjected to so many invasions for various reasons, but one of the reasons was that the warriors, the kings, they just did not have the might or use their might properly, and then there was a devastating consequence for it. So, to conclude this answer, that when we say Krishna protects, yes, Krishna can miraculously intervene and protect, but more often than not, Krishna protects by empowering us or empowering human beings to do what it takes to assume protective roles and protect it. So it is, we see that as a failure at the human level. So Krishna says that dharmasya glani, whenever it happens, he comes, he says, I come to establish dharma. But how does he establish dharma? He says, by establishing virtuous kings. So Raja Rishi, that Raja is the might part, the Rishi is the virtue part. So that's when Krishna may come occasionally, intermittently, to intervene. But Krishna expects that responsible humans take up the role. So if that role is not taken up, that role is taken incompetently, then there can be devastating results. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanand ki.